Can you feel that? It's calm. It's calm right now. I kind of dig it that way. It ain't going to last for long because free agency is coming. We have a ton to talk about for what the Chiefs ought to do, who we feel they have to have back, and how the hell do they get there? Tonight on RGR Football, welcome in. It's the weekend, folks. It's been a long time. We got a Super Bowl dub, and I think we've all been trying to calm down since then, right, Dan?
Oh yeah, I got my new shirt in. We're gonna be getting some from Ryan. I'm gonna get all of my gear. I actually also ordered a Rashee Rice Super Bowl jersey that will be here in April, so that's gonna be pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty safe one to get since he's a rookie. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that and get that out of the way. Yeah, we got some time. So I mean, it's nice. We're seeing some free agent stuff, some cap stuff today. There's going to be some names on the actually released. I think what's going to happen is we saw some of the cap stuff today that might motivate teams to say, oh, maybe we can cut this guy and take on a little bit more of that money to do some more things, and that might lead to some interesting free agent stuff. So I'm excited.
I like where your head's at, and that's exactly where I wanted to start. Peace out to everybody. I hope you're doing well, Gary. Everybody give Gary a hand, one of our mods in the house. A lot of friendly faces in here. DC's back. Blueberry, Info. Nice to see you, William. Brenda made it. Nice to see you as well. We're going to get to some of your questions coming up, but we're going to just start right off the bat because today's announcement, 255. I'd expected about 242 was what was in my head. That's a nice chunk. To me, this has T. Higgins written all the hell over it.
Yeah, for the Bengals, yeah, it does. It has it written all over it. They're just like, oh, okay, we can now bring him back and not worry about it.
Oh man, I tell you, I don't know. I'm really interested to see how it goes with Higgins in particular, because a lot of folks are interested in him, right? But this is the first chance he has to make a decision, and if he chooses not to return, which I think is a distinct possibility, I think that would be interesting. And Joe, you bring up a good point about T. A lot of rumors swirling around him from the people that I know that know the organization. They're thinking right now the tag is not going. It's been back and forth, as I understand, internally, but right now they're thinking that they're probably going to pass on that. And I'm like, wow, okay. That seems like Joe might be a little pissed off, and I kind of dig that. So rock on.
And I'll be honest. This what I thought about for the money was Mike Evans. Because this is going to allow him, because their deadline is past due. He is not getting an extension in Tampa Bay. He is going to be testing the market. And there's almost no better place for him to go to still get a good paycheck and have a chance to win another Super Bowl than in Kansas City. Yeah. That's got to be the ideal situation. Now, we're going to talk about the cap stuff, but this comes down to cash. How much money do the Chiefs have on hand to get this stuff done? Because yes, the cap is going up, but you have to have a certain amount of cash dollars to spend on players in-house and in free agency to get that stuff done. So I'm not the guy that knows much about that stuff. So I'm sure Chris has some stuff to say on Locked On Chiefs. Ryan knows more than I do, so we'll leave it to them.
Here's what it comes down for me. I try not to get too deep into the cash versus cap because it is a pretty those walls they built back in like the 1300s in Ireland that are only like up to your knee, but they're made out of stone. Like they'll cap you if you're not paying attention, right? So that's what it is. And you can go the route of like what the Eagles have done in the past where they just spend because the owner throws up a ton of cash. Yeah. And so that helps, but I can't see, let's be honest. We are a Midwest team in a Midwest town. The owner lives in Dallas, so you ain't getting no coastal money there, right? I can't see Clark Hunt throwing around a ton of cash to go buy Mike Evans out and say, hey, here's $20 million cash. Come play for a year and let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's all we can do, man. It's this series. I think this offseason might be one of the most interesting and like exciting ones because NFL teams were like, all of them around the league perked up. Like when that was dropped, they all did the whole, meerkat thing. They all just kind of like, ooh, we have more money to play with, right? Like, and that's exactly what it's going to be. So again, who's going to get cut? Who's going to be thrown a little bit more money at? I don't think we're going to see teams overspend in free agency. Like they're not going to give these guys a bigger contract because of the cap. I think I've seen that idea thrown out. I don't think that's how that's going to work. It's just, oh, we can do multiple things. Maybe next year is when we see the contract expansions or the average per year go up. But I think this offseason is more for, okay, we can go here, we can go here, we can go here. We can do that a little bit more. And then next year is when we'll see that, okay, we've got more money. We're going to start throwing it around.
Right. I agree with you. This feels to me like for the GMs, it's like, hey, they just paid me twice in this week's paycheck. I'm just going to run out and spend it before they come back for it. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. I don't think it's long-term. It's splashy. And I hope that that's the way that it goes. And folks, yes, we are live on Fridays. You've seen a couple of clips of some of our past lives because of days when I couldn't be around due to travel, etc. We'll throw some of those out during the off season. But we're going to do a lot of lives so that you guys can get your questions in. And we're going to do a lot of film and a lot of draft breakdowns as we look forward to this. As always, please hit the like for us. That helps us help you to help us to help you and do the thing with the stuff. And that's the way that works. But also hit the subscribe button so you get to be part of the community. The community here is great on RGR. We've been on YouTube, folks, pushing 5 years now. And the community has been rock solid. We have a great group of people in here, starting with Gary and all of our regulars. Gary's one of our mods, but been here from the start. And so you can get on that. If you join the memberships and you want to get even more of that community, you can get it in our Discord community that is called Rogue Nation. This is the flag for that nation. And this is the way that it goes. So get in there, join us, be with us, hit the bell thing so you get notifications. I understand YouTube might be doing something different with that over the summer, so look for some new features from that. But in the meantime, hit the bell. And then lastly, if you want on the show tonight, when did I say that? I mean, if you want on the show tonight, throw out a super chat. I guarantee you'll get an answer. But in the meantime,
oh, that was good. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank you, William.
Well done. Will's been here for a while. I'm just telling y'all. So in the meantime, we're going to break down what we think are our biggest takes, our gut reactions. And what I want to do with this is, as we go forward, is we're going to continue to do that. We're going to give you over this draft season and certainly through the summer, we're going to give you some longer shows like on the live streams, and we're going to give you some short shows. We're going to give you some things where maybe if you weren't on the live show or you didn't stay till the end, you didn't see part of it. So you're going to see some second half live stuff redone so that you guys can all get it. And honestly, so we can get more new folks coming on, because every time we win a Super Bowl, I know it's tough when you win Super Bowls. We always grow. We always get a lot of new fans. So want them to see some of the highlights as well. So all y'all, yeah, I know that we need to replicate that. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
So tonight, Flapjack, thank you. Yes, we are live. And that's what I think this is right now, is like, it's the calm before the storm. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Chris Jones is job number one because of the rarity for me. And because, quite honestly, they don't have a lot of time. I'd love to see them burn this down, kick the Katz brothers to the curb. I don't care if it's Drew Rosenhaus and you got to deal with him. We know he's tough, but get it done before you got to put the tag, because I don't want to lose L'Jarius Sneed. That's what it comes down to for me.
I don't know. I think we would have heard by now if Chris was getting different agents. I feel like we would have heard by now. I don't know. I would like to see that
conversation tomorrow could make him go, see ya.
It's possible. Obviously, they just got DeMarcus Robinson another contract with the Rams. So, I mean, good job for DeMarcus. He played very well for them. So he's going to be around a long time just because he's just that guy. Oh, Robinson's on the street. Go ahead and sign him. He's trustworthy. Like, that's how that works out for DeMarcus. And I'm not going to lie, it would have been nice to see him in Kansas City this season. I've got some old tweets that I'm going to rummage through from earlier in the season, talking about how the wide receiver room was the most talented that we've ever seen. So you guys can have some fun with that. Because obviously, All Takes Exposed should get a hold of those tweets for sure. But I'm with you. I think it's got to be, after the Super Bowl, I was like, they have to keep, like, L'Jarius Sneed needs to be the priority, right? My frame of reference frame of mind has switched to Chris Jones, because, and it's not so much that they can replicate their corners, because I'm not as confident in that as a lot of other people seem to be. L'Jarius Sneed would have been a second-round pick had he been a cornerback his senior year at Louisiana Tech. He would have been selected on day 2. And obviously Trent McDuffie fell in the draft. And I know people think that Josh Williams and Jalen Watson and maybe Najee Johnson are the answers. I'm here to tell you that's not the answer. So if L'Jarius Sneed walks, there's going to be a hole, regardless of who is there in the secondary, and they're going to have to reevaluate their needs. Corner starts to rise up higher on the draft sheet than a lot of people expect, because I don't see those guys stepping in and being able to replicate what I'll say even 60% of what L'Jarius Sneed brings. I don't see it.
I would tell you that right now, after second season, L'Jarius Sneed was 90% of the him that he is right now. Like, he had made that leap. Yeah. Watson and Williams are not there. I completely agree with you. Now, that said, are they serviceable starter level guys for most teams in this league? Probably. But that's not the level that we're talking about playing here in this town anymore when you're trying to go for a triple. I agree with you.
Maybe Najee. I mean, we'll get to see. He was on his way to starting, right? He was on his way to being that third cornerback. So there's possibility there, but it does raise some problems for the Chiefs down the road, unless they just say, well, Shamari Conner, you're going to go ahead and be in the slot, and we're going to put Trent McDuffie on the outside, and he's going to stay on the outside. But right now, the way it is, Trent McDuffie's in the slot, and you have Josh Williams and Jalen Watson on the field at the same time. That's not ideal for me.
Yeah, that's freaking scary. Let's be real. Guys, they've performed well at times in small doses.
Yeah.
Put them out there. It's going to be something that is a problem. So, Brandon, that's what we're getting as we hope. It's certainly a possibility, especially with about an extra $12 million in cap space that I didn't expect. Yes, it does make that more likely, but I can't say overall that it is likely at this point.
Yeah.
So we're trying. Carson, welcome to the members. I'm going to get to you guys here as we start ripping up the super chats here coming in. So evidently William was right. Just mention super chats. You want to get on the show. Okay. So now there's a bunch of super chats. We're going to get there and we're going to get started here in a minute. Good question there. I like that one.
Yeah, I like it too.
Okay. So we both have our priorities right now at Chris, but can't afford to neglect L'Jarius. Chris at whatever he has to be, because I firmly believe whatever it is, it's a 3-year at most contract, and you rip it up, and that's that, because a 33-year-old tackle is most likely not the Chris Jones that we know today. But if the guy keeps crying at the national anthem, he just makes me love him more. So this is the way that it's going to go.
If Chris Jones plays like he does in the postseason, pay him his money. Pay him his money. I don't care, because we know that that's what matters. And if he's going to continue to turn up in the postseason every single year, I don't care. I really don't. Yeah. And he deserves every cent, because at the end of the day, they know that it's about rings at this point. They're a great team. They're going to go down as one of the great teams of all time. Okay. They are. So now it's about how can they further bring themselves up in the legacy. They can be the greatest team of all time if they three-peat. There will be zero questions about it. No team has ever done it. So Chris Jones, give him his money. Say,
I'm with you.
All right, do it again in the postseason and say what we got.
And Steven's with us too. And this is exactly what the scenario that I'm talking about. The problem is the tag has to go on the 13th, as I understand. I need to double check that. But we have till March 13th to get the tag on. So that means Chris has to be done before that. And it has to be signed. And it has to be, this isn't going to be, they missed the fax to the front office. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be done.
This has to be quick.
Throw the tag.
This has to be quick.
And that brings me back to the agents. And I think the agents are part of the problem. Now, some of my friends, some of the guys that cover this team say that I'm overly anxious about that, and that Chris and his disappointment with the way that it went once training camp started last year will be more involved and will push the problem. Maybe he can save the same agents. They can still get it done. I said they screwed me once. I wouldn't let them touch this contract. I'd already fired them, but that's me. I'm kind of a jerk. That's
I
fine.
don't think they're very good either, but that's again, I think he's got a different relationship with them and it's up to him. And again, if he's going to be more involved on it, okay.
Dad coming in from the top rope. I like it.
Actually, it is 3, right? It's 2 in a row, but they got 3
sorry.
overall.
Good point. Good point. And so let's take a real quick as we segue to who else. We know who the big dogs are, right? But that's not all of it. So let me get this in here and we'll take a look. There's already a couple of questions about this, and I do want to get to it all. But we're going to start with by status is my goal here.
Okay.
And McCall Hardman's out in the wind. I expect them to let him do what he did before. If they end up wanting to get him back, they can get him back just like they did. Do you see any reason for that to be different?
No, not at all.
Okay. Mike Edwards, I think you have a reasonable chance at a pretty minor contract to get him back in the fold. Would you do that?
I sort of disagree. I think he's going to get a little bit more money than the Chiefs will be willing to pay him, largely because they'll have Jamar Conner to fill his role, and Brian Cook will be back next year, and they seemingly can find these guys on day 3 or just have Deion Bush be that 4th guy if they want to, because he played very well. So I think it's going to be a low cost-effective position for them, and they're not going to really worry about Mike Edwards, and they'll just say, thank you for your service. Here's your ring, and go on into free agency.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're split on Mike. I think we both agree Drew Tranquil has to be a priority.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So like he's up there as one of the guys that might have to be right after L'Jarius and Chris. Donovan Smith, I think it was that same case. Here's your ring, bro. Thanks for helping us out. We got stuff to do. Okay. We know about Clyde. We're out of here clearly. And as we do this, let me go back to the other view. In fact, I wish I could just, I can do that a different way later. Daniel, please tell me your reaction to the Matt Araiza signing.
So optics aside, guys, because I'm not going to get into that right now. Tommy Townsend had an all-pro year 2 years ago, was not very good this year. And the Chiefs said, you're going to want more money than we want to pay a punter. And they said, we looked around, we take on guys that are looking to reestablish themselves in the league all the time. We're a great organization for that, and we're going to do it again. He's the minimum, by the way. He is making the minimum. He's a minimum contract. So I don't care who's punting the football, to be very honest with you. That's not a slight to you, Holly. I understand you love Tommy, and we all thank him for what he did, specifically improving the holding. That was huge. 2 years ago, it was National Optic Spotlight. Like, this dude can't hold the ball for Harrison Butker. He was nails and fantastic this year. So that was awesome. At the end of the day, I don't want the Chiefs punting at all. So I don't really care who's kicking the ball away. To be very honest with you, I don't care. But this is a money move, nothing more.
Okay. That's a very good point. And while you cover the next one, I'm going to look this up because I think the punting situation is what, twice a game on average?
Yeah, just about. So, this year was a little bit different, but
yeah, I mean, come on. You can't put that money into that. It's just not worth it. It's just no.
It's not. He's gonna want what, $2-3 million a year, maybe probably more than that, $4 or $5 million a year. Top of the market. What's the top of the market punter contract? I don't know. Positional spending. Let's look at that. Yeah, I don't even know. I know it's not great. I mean, the Chiefs spent $4 million on their special teams this year alone. That's it for 2 players. They're not going to spend all of that probably on 1 player. It's just not happening.
Agreed. I'm going to look at that as well. Are you on Spot Track? Is that the one you prefer?
I am on Spot Track. Yeah, I was just looking at what the Chiefs spent on their own players.
Yeah, and that's important. I want to look across the league because I don't know what the biggest punter contract is. Do you?
I don't. I really don't. I've never even looked at it. Yeah, right. I've never even looked at it.
Okay, so I'm not going to dig in the weeds there. There's no reason to go that deep. Okay, we're good. So if I can pull up my list again, which doesn't seem to be reacting. Oh, there it is. Okay. So where'd it go? Over here. Okay. So next, we're looking at the guys that we want and feel we need to get back. Tommy there. Nick Allegretti. I don't think Nick's going to get paid anything super absorbent. I'd like to see him finish his career here. He's worth his weight in gold. He proved that this season. You don't disagree with that, right?
No, I'm a little worried somebody's going to throw a bag at him, though, more than what the Chiefs want to pay him. And he's well deserving. He's a guy who could legit be a starter for a lot of teams in the league. And I'm more just hopeful that he stays in Kansas City because I know that he could probably make more money somewhere else.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I'm starting to feel like, you know what? They would have done it if they were going to last year.
Yeah.
And nobody did. So, okay, cool. You know, like there's a lot of teams that are going to say, hey, we want a piece of that championship team. We want to bring that to us. Somebody's going to bring in a punter and think they're going to help turn around a roster. I'm just going to tell you. And Tommy, I will miss you for your throwing. You're the best fake quarterback in this league, and you will go down.
That's exactly why I posted it there. The throws. We're going to miss the throws because those are some legit things.
Yeah, absolutely. Turk Wharton, I'd like to see back. I don't think he's going to have a huge mark, especially off the ACL. I think he can be had pretty cheap.
He was really good in the Super Bowl, guys.
Yeah.
He was real good. And I know that's not a very good interior offensive line, but he was throwing guys around. Like he was throwing them around. So I'd like to as well. They need defense tackles. Like they just do. They're not going to have very many. Derek Nani's probably not back. You got some other things to do. So yeah.
Would you bring back Blaine based on his salary?
What is he making this year?
It was pretty hefty. They're not scared.
1.3. It's 1.3. Go ahead, come bring him back.
But he had a bonus, I thought, that was like 4-ish. Am I wrong?
Maybe that was just against the cap. It probably wasn't against the cap. If it was
okay.
it's like a signing bonus, I don't care.
Okay. All right. I have no problem with him coming back. It's just about the affordability. Jerick McKinnon, I want to see him back. I'm worried he's going to retire. If he does, cheers to him.
He's been pretty adamant that he's coming back. So
cool. I'm glad for that. Like you said, Noddy with the injuries piling up, maybe they don't bring him back. If they choose to, I would be fine with it. I don't know if he's a starter level player at this point anymore, but if he can recover, I'm fine with him on the roster. He's not going to break the bank either. And like you said, the DT position is thin. Richie James, would you bring him back?
Fine. I'm not for or against it. Like I'm indifferent to Richie James because at the end of the day, he almost was a non-factor for this offense. Like he was the punt returner, but I can get a better replacement punt returner than someone who will contribute on offense in free agency.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. We mentioned Blake Bell is late for retirement. Deion Bush, you made a good point. Jerry's is there. Mike Dana, I think, is right up there with Tranquil for me in the versatility and a guy that can play inside for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issues with him coming back. I think that what he showed this year, nearly 10 sacks and starting for Charles Menahue, and then again in the Super Bowl as a starter, he showed that he belongs in this league. So his contract, 8.89 average annual value, that's a 889,000. That's not very much at all. So he's probably going to test the market a little bit.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I have a feeling.
Let me step away for just a second because I have a kid calling me. But what would you pay him, and what do you think of the rest of this list as it's on the screen?
Oh man, I don't even know what I would go about paying him, but I think that Tershawn Wharton specifically, he makes about $2 million a year, and that's more than Michael Dana makes, which I think that he needs to be given a good pay increase, probably around $5 million. Let's try to see who the Chiefs have positional spending here for the Chiefs specifically. Oh, that's not going to tell me. That's not cool. Whatever. Looking at their defensive ends, I'm just going to go look and see if I can find the Chiefs' defensive ends here real quick. But regardless, I think that he deserves a pay raise, and I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be the ones to give him to him, but I would like to see him back if they can afford him. Malik Herring, sure, come back. He's not going to cost very much. He and Mike Dana are this almost the exact same age. So if you can't get one, if you can get both, bring them back. If you can get them cheap, yeah, bring them both back for sure. Najee Johnson is an exclusive rights restricted free, or excuse me, exclusive restricted free agent. So we'll see if he comes back. I would imagine so, considering that he was in line to be a starter for them. Caliendo can go away, and Jack Cochran can also leave. So we know that the Chiefs are going to do what they can to bring their players in, and the ones that are going to get more than they want to pay, because we know that the Chiefs have their own number for each player, right? Like we know that they have that written down, but there's always going to be something that they want to do that the player's not going to want to do. They're going to want to test the market. So some of these guys are going to. We know that really, Willie Gay is probably not going to be able to come in. So it's unfortunate, but you hope for the best. So while Ryan is talking, with one of his kids, we'll go ahead and answer some questions here. Seth, thank you. Would you rather have LJ or Christian Wilkins with Chris Jones? Oh, so I think I'd rather have, I have LJ. Are you talking about, I assume you're talking about L'Jarius Sneed. So I would imagine you're talking about Christian Jones or Chris Jones with LJ or Christian Wilkins with L'Jarius Sneed. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but regardless, ideally, I'd like to have LJ and Chris. Like, that's what I would want to happen. But if you have to pick between one, it would be Chris Jones, and then you find a way to get a different corner in the building. But that's me. That's what I would do. So if you're still in here, Seth, could you maybe redefine the parameters around the question so that I can better answer it if I did not answer it properly for you? And
nothing is proper.
Back in.
Absolutely nothing is proper.
Nothing is proper. Do you think that the Chiefs should bring back Mike Caliendo or Jack Cochran, Ryan?
Caliendo, I don't think lived up to the fans' hype in training camp, so no. Cochran right now, I prefer, and I do think that Cam Jones has surpassed him, but you do need depth. So it depends on my guy who I really want back because I love what he brings. Juice Man needs to be back here. I want Willie Gay back on this roster. If they have him and Trank back and Cam's the 5, I think Christensen can probably play the role of the 6th or a practice squad linebacker, and you have depth.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I'd love to see him back too, but I don't think the Chiefs are bringing him back, and he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't expect to be in Kansas City next year.
Yeah. I don't put too much into social media. In fact, I'm ignoring it completely right now until free agency is over because I think a lot of that's BS.
Ryan, let us have something to talk about here. Don't just take it all away.
Okay.
Come on now.
So who's going to pay Willie Gay? That's what I want to know.
There's lots of teams that specifically, I think Baltimore Ravens could. They're not going to pay Patrick Queen, and they could bring Willie Gay in and do almost exactly what Patrick Queen did, but they're just going to be less expensive. So he might go to Baltimore, get a pay increase, a pay bump that the Chiefs don't want to pay, but it won't be as much as Patrick Queen wants. So that would be a perfect situation for Baltimore.
Okay. Willie, I love you. Don't do it. I don't want to see you as a Raven. I'm just saying. Okay. But yeah, Cochran, I didn't hear what you said. Where are you on Cochran?
I'm fine. Let him go. Like I don't have an opinion either way. But depth is important. I just think that they can get better depth. The
biggest one is my guy Jody. I know the fan base still loves him. He did his first interview in Kansas City here, with me on Locked On Chiefs. And it was great. And I've had a soft spot for him ever since he came to town. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to actually contribute to the team on more than a 2 or 3 game basis.
I wouldn't be surprised if he retired. His body has not held up.
Yeah.
and I love him because I think that if you could promise me right now, like you could guarantee he stays healthy, yeah, he's my tight end too. Like I would play him over Noah Gray. I would do it in a heartbeat. But he has been unable to do that. So I love him.
Agreed.
And I would love to see him in Kansas City, but I think it might be better if he retired.
And folks, I'm going to just give you a cautionary tale right now because we will talk about it coming up through the off season. We're going to have options to do exactly what Jody's been doing. And this is the risk when you take a wide receiver and you ask him to bulk up and put more weight on a frame that can't necessarily carry it. And it puts him at a disadvantage. And unfortunately, there's no other place for him because he wasn't fast or explosive enough as a wide receiver. So when he had to do it, it's not like it was just like on a whim, but that's the risk. And so there's a lot of tight ends in this coming draft that are in very, very similar situations. You're going to hear me start talking about a couple of guys that I really think would be excellent in this offense. One is another Noah type, meaning that he's more of an H than a true Y, and definitely not a split out type. I love the kid from UW, Westover. You guys are going to hear a lot about him. And I got a guy that almost no one knows about that I love in this offense. I'm just going to hold on to him for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop it on 33, folks. Go sign up for NFL33.com. That's where Dan and I are doing our work. We have some other guys contributing around the league, team building. It'll have our draft work. Rogue Analytics will always have all of our draft grades. We are deep into the draft grades. Dan's working his butt off on defensive linemen right now. And I am just fed up with quarterbacks. I got to tell you.
He's so tired of it. I'm surprised he took out the quarterbacks.
You know, I got to do it. Every year I do the 4 pillars because that's like, if everything disappeared, no one wanted to hear me talk, I would still do the 4 pillars for myself. I would do the quarterbacks, edges, left tackles.
That's fair.
So that's kind of where I begin. But we have it all for you. Make sure that you go sub over at NFL33.com. And the rest of the guys are starting to put out. We have needs coming this next week with a couple of our writers. So let us know what you'd like to see there as well. We're going to get right into the questions because we are a little bit behind because of that little snafu. Apologies. I have a kid in a situation. Had a great day out there. She's a gymnast and broke her personal record, 37.3 today. It's pretty incredible. So rock and roll. Love you, kid.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys think that we can trade KT and get a pick to move up in the second? I don't think Kadarius Toney has any value whatsoever.
No. I told you guys, I don't think he's going to be in Kansas City next year. Granted, he doesn't cost anything to keep on the roster. But isn't it addition by subtraction at this point? Isn't it?
I think they roll with it and they go into camp. And if somebody can show any spark that they could be a 6th receiver, then they can let him go. But there's no reason, like you said, to cut him financially or otherwise until then, unless you think he's a cancer.
I think he is. I personally, at this point, think he's a cancer, specifically because he was trying to tell the coaching staff that they were saying he was injured when he said he wasn't. We have evidence to suggest that he was trying to tell everyone that the coaching staff was lying about his injury.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's it for me. That's it for me.
You ain't going to get any argument from me, dude. That is for sure. Jacob, thank you for the super chat. Please check out Xavier Johnson, wide receiver from that's Oregon State, right? He's the little dude.
No,
right?
That's Anthony Gould.
Oh, okay. Who am I thinking of then?
This guy, I think, plays at Ohio State. And he's a guy not barely played.
Okay, so Igbuka's the first guy that everybody should be looking at because it's going to be a top 3 pick for Harrison Jr.
So I think went back to school.
Oh, he did. Oh, I did not see that. Oh, that threw a monkey wrench in my rankings.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I don't appreciate that. I must have missed it. It's like we were preparing for Super Bowl or something. Crap. Okay. So yeah, was Johnson a senior? Like, obviously, Igbuka was number 2 on OSU. I can't think that he surpassed anybody.
I'm looking.
Okay, cool. I will leave that to you, Jacob. We will take a look for sure, and we'll let you know what we think. What would we get for Snead in a trade? Unfortunately, you can't trade Snead unless you tag him. In a tag and trade scenario, you might be able to get a 3rd, maybe a low-end 2nd. I'm reluctant to say that they would do that, though, because if you get a low-end second, you're trading into a playoff team, and I don't think they want to do that. So I don't think you'll get near as much. Chris will demand 3 or 4 picks if you tag and trade Chris.
Yeah.
So it's really not much of a contest in that. The whole point of tagging L'Jarius is the tag is 18.2, and it's affordable. He'll get 20 on the market. I can guarantee you he'll get 20 a year on the market because of what he did to Tyreek Hill, what he did to Stephon Diggs, what he did to Justin Jefferson. There is no way to ignore that. It doesn't matter they didn't get all pro and Pro Bowl. Somebody will pay him. And I think he seems, from what I have seen, and again, I've been pretty much blocking stuff out, but he seems to want to return. Am I wrong about that, Dan? If I missed something?
No, he does, but he also told Brett Veach on Kay Adams' show to pay him. So he understands that he's been severely underpaid in his career and he wants to be paid. And he expects
hasn't.
Brett Veach
He's a 4th round pick.
Him. Yeah. So there's that.
Okay, fair enough. Christo, I really hope you guys continue RGR for Mahomes' entire career. Y'all my favorite channel. Thank you, Christo. And we have no plans of doing anything else.
No.
We may expand. We're definitely going to expand. Dan's doing a whole draft show for Cover One, so make sure you're subscribed to that. Dan will be here. He'll be with me. We will do this. We will keep RGR alive forever. If I were to take a team job somewhere, RGR will still go on. I just won't be able to talk about prospects.
Yeah, it'll be a little at the bones. RGR isn't going anywhere as far as we can tell. That there's nothing in the works. I do other stuff. Ryan does other stuff, but at the end of the day, we're right here for you guys. Like, this is
if I win Powerball tonight, RGR will still be alive. It'll just look a hell of a lot better. Does the punter they signed, can he hold the ball for buck around field goals? Absolutely, Gary. I don't know specifically about how much volume or whatever, or if he ever had any holding problems, but yes, that's like the prerequisite of every punter.
From what I understand, he was learning to do it better in Buffalo before he was released. So there is precedent that he was training in that at least.
Awesome. And then that was my thing. And if you guys missed last night when I just did kind of an impromptu live when it happened, that's my favorite part of this, because I truly believe that they were planning to go get him back at some point after the second wave of free agency.
Yeah.
And now they don't have a choice. So I just love that you stole a kid from the Bills. That's all that matters to me. Thanks, Christo. Thoughts on Lockett?
Over that. Oh yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I was clicking before I was speaking. Thoughts on Lockett if he's cut? I mean, Lockett is like my little brother. Is like 2 years younger than me. He's 64 years old. I don't know what he's going to do, but he just keeps on churning.
At the end of the day, if he's going to be cheap and you can get him for like a year or two, he knows how to win in the NFL. Yes, bring him in.
For the love of God, he'll teach everybody else how to run routes.
Yes,
I mean, there are serious pluses to that. Ideal scenario for me is re-sign Jones, tag and trade Snead. What kind of compensation could Casey get for Snead? Again, he's good, but you can find. Would you put him in the top 10 of corners
of free agents?
No, of corners in this league.
For sure. So Jerry's in the top 10 corner.
Would you put him in the top 5?
I think this past year, yes. I think I think he played as a top 5 corner.
I agree. That was the first year for me. So as good as he is, you got to have at least 4 on every single roster, so people don't give up as much compensation for them. I think you can get a third easy. You might be able to get a second. I doubt you're going to get a first-round pick in compensation for a tag and trade on L'Jarius Snead, because they know they got to pay him. And as Dan said, he knows he needs to get paid.
I think you can get what the Chiefs get, like an early second-round pick, or what they have to give up for Frank Clark. Was it an end of the first-round pick, or was it beginning?
I want to say that was the year. It was like 26.
Yeah, I think that is reasonable, personally.
Okay, fair enough.
Because he is still relatively young. He's coming off of his rookie contract, and this is not. He has legitimately gotten better every single year, and he is, without a doubt, one of the lockdown outside corners. Now, the right team the right team would give up that for that type of player, in my opinion, and pay him because he's been getting better. And if you're letting him do what he's done in this system, you are going to continue to get the returns because that's what he's good at. That's what he's comfortable with. And you're not asking him to do something out of his character.
It's going to be a man team who's going to pay the most for him.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. I'm really interested to see what the Niners do. I think Steve Wilkes got screwed, but I don't know what it changes their defense to because Javarius Ward is a cornerstone they want to build around. They want a tandem, right? So could they come calling? Possibly. But it feels like traditionally they want to play a little bit more zone in the back than L'Jarius is really built for.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be, I mean, I know that I think that Wilkes got fired because of his previous stuff, not because of the Super Bowl. I think it was his previous, the way that the defense played before, because it was not very good. But
yeah, there was definitely a slump. But I still think he got screwed. First-year coordinator. I don't know. Anyway, Carson, welcome to the memberships. I hope that you're enjoying it. You get this little logo here, folks. Even if you join just at the draft level, you get to play with the emojis, and you get to be special here in the chat, and that's the whole point. If you want the content, if you want the inside scoop and the stuff that we don't say in public because we're kind of, I won't speak for Dan because I'm kind of a jerk if I put it all out there. If you want that stuff, you got to go up to the rookie level. So make sure you check that out and join Carson and welcome to it, buddy. I hope you enjoy it. Jack Green, is this going to be this is going to be an interesting season right here, going through the free agency trades, etc. It's going to be fun. Good job. I'm glad you think that it's fun, Jack. I really appreciate you. I feel stressed. Like I'm so excited that they won back-to-back. No, I mean, 20 years apart, right? Which, by the way, if you look at the gaps, I think it was 5 years for the Steelers. And then they had, who did back-to-back in the 80s? It was like 6 years later.
It was the Cowboys, wasn't it?
It was the Cowboys. And then
I think so.
You got the Broncos. Like it was every 5 years. And now it's been a 20-year drought. It's really, really interesting. And so as much as I want them, and I'm proud of them for doing too, I want that third. Holy God. Like I'm in Patrick's mode right now. Like the first thing I thought of is, good God, they could win 3 in a row. It's crazy. It
was the 49ers in the 80s, the Cowboys in the early 90s, and then the Broncos in the late 90s, and then the Patriots in the early 2000s. So there was a 10-year window where 3 teams won back-to-back Super Bowls. From 1992 to 2003, that's like an 11-year window. Like that is unheard of. That tells you where the good players went and how the NFL has changed since the dichotomy has gotten much better. And now we're seeing, Patrick Mahomes might actually be the best player to ever live if he gets 3 in a row. That's going to be something we get to talk about.
Right. Yeah. Oh God. I mean, that's going to make my retirement. There we go. Jack, thank you. We appreciate you, brother. And Bill, thank you. Bill, William, I'm just going to keep rotating it until you tell me I'm an idiot and I do something wrong. So can the Chiefs keep Snead and Tranquil with the extra cap space? It is possible, yes. It's dependent on how much cash they want to put in and how they structure them. The key for me is getting Jones under contract because he's going to be the biggest one. He will make more money than L'Jarius Sneed. He will make a ton more money than Drew Tranquil. Drew Tranquil will get a healthy raise, but he's not going to break the bank. He's a $6 million linebacker, in my opinion.
Yep.
I don't think he can command much more than that. I think for the Chiefs, he'll probably take 4 or 4.5.
I hope so. That'd be great. But we have to see what the number's going to be with Jones. He is another year older. That gives me a little bit of, maybe it comes in closer to what it was last year, because that would help a lot. And he doesn't have a leg to stand on, honestly. He doesn't, in terms of numbers wise. He doesn't have that leg to stand on. So it's compromise at this point, guys. What will the Chiefs offer? What will he take? That's what this comes down to. And I'm hoping it's closer to what the offer was last year, because I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense to me. Jace, I love your icon, but dude, you need to get a prettier man on there. I'm just saying. How did the cap jump 30 million? Swift plus what else? It has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. The viewing numbers did go up with Taylor, especially for females that are non-football fans. But it has to do with the money contracts. It's Amazon. It's that special BS deal that they gave Peacock an exclusive playoff game. It's that kind of stuff that the networks paid for.
It's also the COVID year. We forget COVID year. this is the reverberations from the COVID year, guys. There were always going to be some of those felt down the line after what happened. It was a lot of TV money stuff that had yet to be realized. And like you said, there's contracts. Amazon's going to be paying a ton more for another playoff game, for an exclusive playoff game next year, is what I've heard. It's going to be much more than what Peacock paid for it this year, and it's going to do numbers. This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning in terms of the cap.
Good God, I'm not ready for that. Thank you, by the way, Jace. Appreciate you. And another one from you, Agba reunion. Oh man, I felt, and if you guys watched the Hard Knocks, I found it curious that they didn't really touch on the fact that Tyreek and him are there, and the ex-Chiefs and the whole 9 yards. I felt he still played pretty dang well. I'm doing a quick little search here to see what his situation is. Do they have any rights whatsoever? Is he a complete UFA?
They cut him today. I believe he was cut already.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. See, this is me not paying attention to social media. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly worth the look because he still fits the bill. I thought he played at a pretty good level. He can play inside and he can play outside, and he is another chess piece that could fit into Spags' deal. He's long, he's lean, he's played for Spags before.
Charles Mendy, who's going to be hurt. Bring Emmanuel Ogbah in. He's played in the defense before, and just drop him in and say, yep, you're good to go. And Charles, when you're ready to go, just come on in. We don't overdo it. Like, don't force yourself to come back. I think it's a perfect plan. He's only 30, and he can still play for a rotational defense very well. I'm all about it.
And Emmanuel, while you're there, just rent like a 3-bedroom house so that Christian has someplace to crash when he comes to town. We would really appreciate it. I think we're both on the Christian Wilkins train.
Yeah, but that's in a different world where Chris Jones isn't the chief. So
yeah, well, hey, I can dream. Going to be a fun offseason. Stay tuned. Yes, thank you, SSG Minotaur. We appreciate you. 30 months.
Thank you.
Of our members, helping us stay alive and keep the push going.
Love it.
We are approaching 30,000 subs on this channel, folks. We are going to get there by next season. You guys can help us there. Make sure you stay tuned. We're gonna have content for you all summer long. It's gonna thin down. Dan and I are gonna do the bulk of the draft work and stuff. There's gonna be some theoretical stuff that Gary's gonna do, and we're gonna have some extra content for you. So do not go away. We definitely have this whole thing on lock. But yes, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and there's gonna be a ton of changes. So it's coming. And if you don't know Minotaur yet, this is what he does.
This is what he does.
For those of you that are receiving free memberships right now, you can thank Minotaur. And I appreciate you as well, my friend. We like to grow the community around here, and the members that give away other memberships always help. You can upgrade those super simply and get into the rookie level, and you will be in like Flynn on Discord and everything else. Discord's going to be evolving for us. I'm trying to find a ways where we can use it a little bit better and do some meetups and do some other things to bring even more to you that is exclusive inside of there. So you want to get signed up. Minotaur's making it easy. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
Duncan, I can't wait for the movie, by the way. I think I said that last night. But do we want to extend Justin Reed or let him play out his final year right now, if it were me? Because I think he's played better this year in year 2 than he played in year 1. Spags trusts him. He's kind of, I think, a different leader than Tyron, but I think he's in a similar position, especially if you look at possibly losing L'Jarius. You need a vocal leader. I don't think Trent McDuffie's a vocal dude. So I want Justin Reed back. I would extend him, knock his salary down, give him a nice bonus, cut the cap, and keep him for like a 3-year extension is what I would do.
Yes. Justin Reed is so much better than a lot of people in Kansas City want to believe that he is for whatever reason. He's a fantastic lifeblood of this defense, and he's gotten much better, specifically in coverage from last year to this year. He's getting to the point where I trust him in covering tight ends one-on-one. And that's not something I would have said last year, 2 years ago. So yeah, extend him. He's still young. He is still young. Let's go. Like I'm down.
Okay, rock and roll. I'll let you take this one, but I'll read it for you if you like. So many draft crushes right now. Where could the Chiefs be draft the following receivers? Trade ups, Brian Johnson, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin. Also thoughts on Jordan Morgan and Megadaji. I can't pronounce his name correctly.
That's the tackle tackle out of what is it? It's one of the Ivy League schools.
It's Cornell, I want to say, right?
No, it's not Cornell. It's
not Cornell. Is it Yale?
It's Yale. There it is.
Okay.
I
Yep.
know it's one of those. But Brian Thomas is the wide receiver you're talking about out of LSU. He is probably apparently going in the top 20. I don't understand what's happening with people here, but he is being projected inside the top 20. He should not be a first round player on my board.
He's Rasheed. He's a second round value wide receiver.
He's faster than Rasheed. But
yeah, but I just mean
he's
in like where you'd put him, right?
Yeah, I'll have him in the second round. Like that's where he is for me. But the way that he is being projected right now, he's going to go in the top 20. So they'd have to trade up to get him. Don't do it. Yeah. Xavier Worthy should be available at the end of the first round. Thank you. Yep. Troy Franklin is going to be around that 25 to 30 range. So that's I think the Bills might be in line to take Troy Franklin. I think that would make a lot of sense with their offensive construction. So in my opinion, Brian Thomas and Troy Franklin are second round players, and I have Xavier Worthy just at the end of the first round. I think he is that good. So that's what I would do myself. But if you, in terms of trading up, Brian Thomas would be the one you have to go get first, and then Franklin, and then Worthy should still be there, in my opinion. And Jordan Morgan will also be there at the end of the first round if the wide receivers have, fallen off. I think Jordan Morgan is a first round talent, but he's being like thrown to the side. Like he's just being thrown to the side. He legitimately did not lose a one-on-one at Senior Bowl ever. He didn't lose one.
I've seen some film that make me question about his fit, though.
I get that, and I'm just saying, like, I think that he could make it work here. I believe he could, but and I haven't watched Keaton, so that's I've heard lots of good things, though. Lots of good things.
So just so you guys know, Dan's focused on the wide receivers and tackles this year. We'll be crossing over, and we'll watch each other's work as we always do. I'm on edges. Won't be doing corners as much because our guy EJ is back, so you guys will dig that. I'll be on quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have wide receiver questions, Dan is your man. I have my personal favorites. They're not necessarily going to grind up, and I'm only going to do a couple of games each of the wide receivers, whereas Dan is like dug in. And we got to get him out because he's got family things. Sammy, welcome to the memberships. I appreciate you. As well as the follow-up right here. Do you think the Wanye did enough to have a shot at starting, still drafting, or a free agent signing? Do you think he's ready to start games at left tackle?
I think he can. I mean, we've seen it. He did start games at left tackle last year, but I do think it's going to be a competition. I don't think he's going to be given it, nor do I think he earned it being given to him with some of his pass protection problems. He was good in the run game, but he wasn't very good in pass protection. So I do think that underrated, the Chiefs might bring in a guy like Jonah Williams to play left tackle, maybe as a guy who had actually played really good left tackle before 2 years ago. Whatever happened there was weird, but Andy Heck is a fantastic offensive line coach, and I think that bringing in a veteran who, I don't know, maybe the rest, I don't know, maybe something different, maybe something changes.
You never know. It seems like the team might like that. You like that. I hate that. That's just me. I'm not a Williams fan, but I'd rather be athletic and underpowered than the opposite. But that's just me.
I understand. All right, guys. I have to actually get going really tonight. Got to get out of here. Unfortunately. Sorry, everybody.
You guys told Dan we get him out early, and I'm a liar.
It's my fault too. I talk too much, you guys. I'm sorry. If you guys ever want to hit me up on Twitter, go for it. I'll answer when I see the questions. But thank you guys. Don't destroy Ryan too much on his own. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you letting me skedaddle. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy. Say hi to the ladies for me.
I will. Thank you
guys. And what we'll do is we'll be live Q&A on Monday night like we always are. I'm going to have stuff for you on Sunday night as well. Going to go to a pre-recorded this week because of my personal schedule and with the family and stuff. So look for that. Mayor James, appreciate you. Thanks for the help. Always nice to see you in here. And I hope that you're ready for a nice off season. Kai, I like that you bring up Brandon Dorlus out of Oregon, and thank you for the super chat. Dorlus is a tweener, and he's always been a tough eval for me. When he was younger and he was lighter, felt like he could have been an edge evolving. Now I feel like he's probably based inside, but he is very much a Mike Dana to me. He could survive at both 3-tech and at edge if you need him to. He could play heads up on tackles if they were to switch to a 3-man front. I do like him. I don't think he's going to be a high round pick. He might sneak into the 3rd round, but I don't think it's going to be very high. So there is an option there. And I do like what he does. He plays with significant power. He's not the most explosive guy, but I think he can get it done. And I think he can be a rotational piece in a defensive line that has to rebuild the interior pretty significantly. So thank you for bringing him up. I like that you did that. Jacob, top 15 pick for CJ. Who are some top 15 options? I don't think you get a top 15 pick for Chris Jones. The teams that are going to trade for him are going to want him to cap them off. They're likely to be lower than that. If they were, you're not going to get the volume of picks. But if you're in the top 15 and you got an extra top 15 pick, I'm bundling that and I'm going up to get that tackle of the future, whether it's Alt or Fasciano or whoever they decide. I'm not a huge Fuaga fan, at least in terms of like giving up capital to get him. I think he can be functional. I'm not sold on his elevation to the NFL. So there are a couple of tackles I would go after. If you wanted to get super sick and serious, I like both. Actually, I like all 3 of the Washington receivers. Odunze would be a top 15 pick that I could see going after if that's what you felt. If you felt Wanye had it, or you felt like you can sub in there with a free agent tackle, I think it would be worth it. I don't think you can, even with number 32 and number 15 or 14, I don't think you can get up to the top 3 to get Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's what I would look at right there. Andy, thank you very much. Cheers to you, buddy. Want to thank you guys as a Chiefs fan from Ireland. Cheers. And hey, I would love to run into you at some point, Andy, because I'm going to be over there. I want to say it's 2 summers from now. Make my debut and meet some long lost family. So I would love to hook up when I'm over there. But make my weekends a lot more fun and interesting. Much love. You both deserve a ring. Appreciate that. Been a subscriber for a year now. Well, welcome. And I hope there's more Chiefs fans in Ireland. I've been on a few podcasts in Ireland, and I love it. And it's nice for me as someone who has descendants from there. Nice to see you, and thank you, buddy. Would love to stay in touch. So feel free. Drop me a line at rgrpodcasts@gmail.com. Would love to connect. Jackson, thank you, and welcome. Member for 5 months. Appreciate you. With the big jump in the salary cap, could they get Jones, Snead, Tranquil, and Gay, plus a draft and free agency? It will certainly help them get Jones, Snead, and Tranquil. Evidently, all the signs point to Billy Gay going elsewhere. Okay. It's about timing. And I think you'd have to sign Jones, put the tag on Snead, and then try to work on a deal after that. I think that can be done. And I think once Legere secures the fact that he'll be making $18 million for at least 2024, I think it would be more open to structuring a deal down the line that gives him a chunk of cash and lets him reduce his cap number. I do think that is in the cards. That wouldn't leave a lot for free agency. You could get a few things done, like bringing back Mike Dana and a couple other players, but you wouldn't be going out and spending on like trying to fight for a Mike Evans or a T. Higgins, right? That would probably put the kibosh on that if you got both Snead and Jones. I'd rather them build from within and keep their guys than go out on a limb for somebody else's draft pick. That's just kind of the way that I approach it. We're going to wrap up here in just a second. Alex would love the idea of Tyler Lockett coming in. His father played for the Chiefs. Yes, absolutely. And it's a nice way to end your career in a friendly confine that reminds you of home and you have a legacy link to, right? I love that concept. I just don't know if it's in the cards. Age is tough, and I'm not sure that the team would do that. I don't know. For the money, it just seems like Brett Veach might not be able to bring himself to pull that contract off. I'm not sure. I'm just taking a quick look at any other questions before we hit our last super chat. We're going to call it a night here in a minute, folks, because I am going out with the wife. So that doesn't happen that often. You got to take advantage of it when you can. Who's the top 3 draft backs you would like to see in Kansas City? I would love to see Byron Murphy, I like Blake Fisher, the right tackle from Notre Dame. I think you can have him later. And I would love to see Jalen Polk. I think he's a second-round selection that you can get. And he is a wide receiver that I love. He's 6'2". He's and little bit like thinner version of Rasheed, who plays in the slot a lot. He's 6'2", about 210, I want to say. He's the number 2 at Washington in their championship run, and I love the way that he plays. I think he would fit perfectly. Super smart player that would make this offense home. I'm really into it. Ryan, do you see the NFL becoming huge overseas? It seems to be gathering more and more. When I was first starting to get into my coaching career, I was just at the tail end of NFL Europe. In fact, I had an opportunity there that literally got canceled because they closed the league down. And I do think that ever since then, there's been a lot of yearning. There's American football leagues in a number of European countries, like Andy's in Ireland, the UK, Germany, Belgium. I don't know about France. I don't know that any Frenchmen actually like to hit anything, so I don't know about that. But I do think, particularly in Germany and the UK and Ireland, you could grow enough there to put teams there. I think that is doable, not just as a development league, but part of the league. Thank you, Gary, and thank you for everything you've ever done here, buddy. It's nice to see you. Alex, bring in Noah Fant for T2. You could give him a shot. I'm not sure he fits this offense very well, but you never know. And it'd probably be more like a T3, at least for a year, because Noah Gray can run this offense. So I do think that he would be pretty solidly as the number 2 right there. So we covered a lot. Mike Williams, I see a lot of people asking about. Xavier Howard, I think, is cooked. I would not bring him in. Ozzy has a pseudo pop culture one. What is this? Do you think that Travis and the Chiefs becoming internationally famous with T-Swift will lead to us playing more overseas games? Not necessarily more, because Clark has always wanted to play overseas games. He's the leader of the International Expansion Committee. He's now on the Finance Committee. Like, he knows that for this league to become everything that it can, it has to grow overseas, and he's been pushing that for quite a while. Speedy, I did not see one come through from you, buddy, but I will try to go back, or actually just throw your question in regular right now, and I will try to do that. Oh, wait, no, it just showed up. We're good. Jaquan Jackson from Tulane and Malcolm Corley from Western Kentucky are both nice. Good YAC players. Yes, they definitely are. This concept that Malcolm Corley is a first-round player is ridiculous. That is crazy talk. And I think that's people looking for clicks now, saying something outlandish that they know is going to fall away later. So, but I like Jackson quite a bit, and I think he's probably a third-round guy on my board. Some will pump him up above that. And I can't say that I would say that that's crazy. I just don't think the value's there. But yes, super YAC guy, could play in the slot, would be a replacement for Kadarius Toney and McCole Hardman and do some of those things. I like his tenacity. One of the better Senior Bowls of any receiver down there. I don't care who they were. And I like what he brings. And it wasn't just when he was catching balls from Pratt, his quarterback at Tulane. So I do think that really is a guy that I like. He'll be higher in terms of my fit list for the Chiefs than Corley will be. But I think Corley will generally be right in the same vicinity, maybe a little bit higher. Because of the build and the contact sustainability. So sorry about that one, Speedy. Appreciate you being patient with me. And I think that is the bulk of it. So we're going to call that a night right here. We're going to be back live on Monday night. I'm going to be here on Sunday night, depending on timing. And if not, you'll see a piece that I have ready. We're going to be doing more film work. We're going to start switching over, not just to prospects, but to free agents some as well, to kind of explain why we feel the way we feel about it. And obviously, like yesterday, when things happen, signings, et cetera, we will give you our reaction so that you can have that as soon as possible. We appreciate you guys being here. I totally dig the fact that you guys are here when it's the off season, because we're all bought into this three-peat thing. And I very much appreciate it. Mizzou 19. Thank you. And you love Gray. Wish Reed would use more. I agree. But the idea that he'd be a tight end 2 of his ultimate homer take. No, it really isn't, because I know for a fact the reason Noah Fant didn't work in Denver is because he couldn't learn the playbook. He ain't going to learn the Chiefs playbook. I'll tell you that. So it's not a homer pick. I was trying not to throw him out under the bus, but I know from people here in town that it was a problem for him learning the offense. And that ain't going to get easier coming to Kansas City. So that's where it's at. Everybody, thank you for being here. I appreciate all your time. Thanks to Brenda and all of our regulars, Gary, always. And for all of our regulars, I very much appreciate you. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be doing a lot of film over the weekend. I'll have something for you Sunday night. And then we'll get back to the Q&A all night long on Monday, your show. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you then.